I wouldn't chance it, but the reality is that up through the very last moment of an individual's life, the very last moment, less than a fraction of a second, it is not too late to accept the mercy of God and be saved. Nevertheless, it is almost too late for our country. The greatest bastion of freedom and prosperity that will ever be in the history of the world, the country where we get to enjoy our religious liberties more than anyone ever has or ever could. We are on the brink of permanent and lasting destruction from the forces of evil. It is almost too late. But the key to turning things around and pulling everything off the precipice is for everyone to recognize we can no longer waste any time. Every time we give into a temptation, every time, we end up wasting time. And Jesus today went through the 3 types of temptation that any of us will ever experience to show us that we can persevere through these temptations as well. The first temptation occurs when we are on track, where we are doing what we are supposed to do. We are growing closer to God, but then the enemy proposes a supposed shortcut. That's a lie. The shortcut will deprive us of enjoying the way God meant for us to take. There are no shortcuts. Adam and Eve were on track perfectly until the enemy proposed a shortcut. And the devil tried to get Jesus the same exact way. But immediately before the events of today's gospel was the baptism of Jesus, where it was proclaimed for all to hear by God the Father, "This is my beloved Son." Jesus did not look at that identity as a shortcut. He looked at his identity as everything. We are meant to rest in, celebrate, grow in our identities. We are the beloved children of God. To let that sink more deeply into your soul. And it is the fact that our identities have been attacked again and again and again, that things are worse now than ever before. Again, that is a major reason why we are on the brink. These attacks on all of our identities have caused so much destruction, so much division, so much hostility, so much suspicion, so much dysphoria. I had people walk out from the last Mass when I said this, but this is a cold, hard fact. This is not Father being political. The number of those who, in this country, have dysphoria has doubled in just the last 5 years. That should bring everyone to the brink of panic. And you may think, oh, well, that doesn't affect me. Yes, it does. You may know your identity, but none of us can live our identity to the fullest unless we're able to collaborate with those we are meant to collaborate with. And how can we collaborate with people who can't even be allowed to see what their true identity is? Identity is meant first and foremost for the sake of relationship. And although we won't be tempted like Jesus to leap off a ledge, we will face the same type of temptation Jesus faced at that moment. The temptations that come when we feel that God is not with us. God is always with us. God is always overwhelming us if we just open our eyes more to so many infinite number of ways where he wants us to grow in his love, his peace, and his happiness. And Jesus always knew that. Not just in the desert, not just through his ministry, but from the cross. He was constantly reaching out to God the Father in prayer, even when he felt nothing but pain. And again, this is the whole point of Lent, to remove anything and everything that keeps us from having the deepest, richest, most life-giving relationship with God possible, so that we can begin to recognize and treasure all the ways he loves us. And a major reason to have our relationship with God as strong as possible is so that we can resist the third type and the most frequent type of temptation. Believing that God does not want our happiness. All the kingdoms of the world and all their glory are nothing compared to the happiness that God wants to give us always. And again, things are worse than ever because many people have believed that. And many people, our actual enemies, are saying that God is the enemy to our happiness. This has caused such pervasive destruction with this sickest of lies. But the worst reason why things are as bad as they are right now is because many have hesitated to speak out against this sickest of lies. Yes, many of us have hesitated because we fear losing what we have. And the reality is, we may lose more. But the second reading promises that we can't ever lose the gift of eternal happiness. Never mind all the other blessings. So how can we have an excuse? We must renounce the temptation to hesitate. We must fearlessly do everything we can to confront everyone we know in the ways that we were meant to, and explain to them how these evils are killing us all before it's too late. We're supposed to hate the temptations, we're supposed to hate the sins and the evils that result from giving into those temptations. But for persevering through the temptations, we will grow closer to God. We will grow stronger. We will grow in a deeper peace. We will play our part in saving the world because we will refuse to waste time.